Welcome back, guys. Today I'm going to do a video on TaylorMade irons. We're going to have a look a little bit more in detail at their range. Some of these are current, some of these are just about to be replaced or may have already been replaced. So we're going to have a look at the P7MB, the MC, 770, 790, and I've even got my hands on the 790 Titanium too. And then we're going to look at the Sim2 irons and the Sim2 Max OS irons. Now you can't get your hands on these from a custom fitting perspective now, but you may be able to pick one up on sale. So when we look at these golf clubs, we've got two truly forged clubs from TaylorMade, and that'd be the P7MB and the MC. So the MB being the blade and the MC being the muscle back cavity, 35-degree aloft and 34-degree aloft. Then we start to go into these two forged clubs here that are forged but hollow head construction. So we've got 33-degree aloft in the P770 and we got 30.5-degree aloft in the P790. Now when we go 35, 34, 33, a couple of things that we can find quite interesting. These possibly could be comboed. These possibly on paper could be comboed. However, hollow head construction iron, bladed iron, it's like when we look at bladed wedges. If somebody has a bladed wedge and they use the gapping off of their pitching wedge, it's very difficult to get that gapping right. So if you've got a 48-degree pitching wedge but it's hollow head construction, you then go into a 52-degree wedge will likely not create the right gap that you're looking for. So on paper it's possible to combo these clubs, but I doubt the data will reflect that. So these two could be comboed, these two could be comboed, these three could potentially be comboed, but I doubt that. We'll find out later. Then we've got 28.5, so this is out of stock now, it's not available for custom fitting, but it's a P790 Titanium, a very luxury club, very premium price point, 28.5 degrees aloft, same as a Sim Max. So we've got two clubs. This one is slightly more modern than the P790, 28.5 degrees, both hollow head construction. Which one's going to be performing better? This one's got tungsten in the toe, it's titanium made, it isn't forged, it's actually a cast head. And then we got that, like I say, the Sim2 Max, which is 28.5 degrees and 27 degrees in the Max OS. The Max OS is designed to be a very forgiving club. This is going to be your ultimate high handicap golf club, and this is going to be your game improvement golf club as well. So you got two clubs up here. Now one thing TaylorMade say, these are cast clubs, but they feel like forged. Now when TaylorMade make a bold claim like that, I'm going to make sure they justify that by actually backing it up with performance. So when I test this, I will be brutally honest, maybe too honest, about the feel. Also notice the design on this. Look at the Sim Max 2, how flat it is here, and how the Sim Max 2 OS has got the weight centered a little bit more towards the toe, more like a muscle back strip. So it'd be interesting to see how that affects performance. I'd expect it to create a higher launch and maybe a little bit higher backspin in ball flight. So kicking off the day, we've got the P7MB. This is a forged blade, 35 degrees. Very good looking club, very clean, smallest head on test today. But it's a very nice looking club, and I do like the way it contrasts as well. You've got the kind of matte face compared to the shiny side as well. So good looking club. It is what it is. It's a bladed club. You're not going to get much forgiveness. You're going to get higher launch. You're going to get higher spin. The only problem I have with the P7MB is where it sits, because you've also got the P7TW, the Tiger Woods club. We don't have that. Now, why wouldn't you go for the Tiger Woods one? Well, I'll give you a couple of reasons. I'll see it from both sides. But if you were going to go for a blade from TaylorMade, that's got to be one of the most obvious choices for most golfers. However, it only comes with a dynamic gold shaft. You'd have to then get it custom fit retrospectively. However, you've got more custom fitting options if you went for the P7MB. So it does have a place. The TWs are 35 degrees, these are 35 degrees, but in the TWs you can also get the Tiger Woods spec in those. The other problem I have with the P7MBs is they don't feel like you expect a blade to feel. They feel good. I mean, I'm going to give it a good rating for feel, but I would say that you can get better feel from a Mizuno, for example, or if you are really looking at bladed clubs, there's a whole lot of options out there. Maybe a Miura would be a good choice for you if the sky's the limit in terms of price. TaylorMade probably wouldn't be my first option for a blade. It's a good feeling golf club, but if you really are going to go down the route of blades, maybe Mizuno would be worth your time a little bit more. Now we're into the TaylorMade P7MC. This is 34 degree aloft, so it's 1 degree stronger than the blade club. Again, still a small looking head, but it's definitely a bigger head than the one that I've just used. But in terms of technology, again, forged it. So of the real forged irons, you're looking at the P7TW, the Tiger Woods version, you're looking at the MB and you're looking at the MC. They're the truly forged golf clubs from TaylorMade. So let's give this one a go too. So P7MC down as well, very good feeling golf club when you hit it well. However, and this goes for the MB as well, when you don't hit it well, they don't feel great, they just feel terrible actually. When you hit it off the toe, you're really going to get these bad feel shots, but when you hit it out the middle, it's a good feeling golf club. In terms of performance, it feels that it goes a little bit longer. We'll look at the data in a moment. But yeah, forged golf club, you get what you really expect. Maybe a little bit bigger head than people may like. I think some people may feel that the top line's a little bit thicker. But again, the offset's very minimal. It's going to attract those golfers that tend to draw the ball, maybe draw the ball a little bit too much. But a good golf club for those players that want those blade clubs, but they just need that little bit more forgiveness when they don't hit it right. P770 time, and it's one of my favorite clubs in the last 18 months. It's performed so well for so many golfers. So you get the mid-handicap golfers that want something a little bit more ambitious than their game improvement irons that they've got. And you've got low handicap golfers that are not playing all the time and they want a little bit of forgiveness and they don't want super powerful lofts as well. So this club has worked for so many players. And also I found there's just been a high demand for this golf club. People come in and I say, what golf clubs have you been looking at? And they say, oh, P770. It's been so popular. I think the amount of options you've got with this golf club in terms of, do you combo it with a P790 set or do you try and put it with a P7MC set at the top end? So you've got a lot of options that you can do with this golf club. It is forged, however, it's the hollow head forged. So it's not quite truly forged in the same way that the MB or the MC would be. So you don't get the feel of a forged golf club, even though it is claiming to be forged. You do have in the 3-iron down to the 7-iron, you have this insert in the bottom, similar to what you've seen on the M5 irons, the M6 irons, that take out some of them vibrations when you don't hit it well. But let's give it a go. It's one of my most popular golf clubs this year. Truly recommend getting this checked out. For a lot of golfers are in that mid-range. It has been one of the most popular irons, and I do truly believe it's actually worth that merit. It isn't all hype. It is a club that performs really well for a lot of people. So following a few shots, it's really done what I expected it to. It feels good when you hit it out the middle, not as good as the P7MB or the MC, but it also feels better when you hit it off the toe of the heel. So you've got pros and benefits to that. Not as good out the middle, but better when you hit it off the toe of the heel. But it's designed hollow head. Like I say, there's no way at the moment for these hollow headed golf clubs to feel as well as a purely forged golf club. And where I'd say this golf club kind of shines, it's really comparable to the Titleist T200. I think those golf clubs almost in the same bracket. However, this one is a little bit more watered down. It doesn't go quite as far. So again, this is going to attract some better players. I would understand that some golf pros would start to gravitate towards this golf club. It's going to perform really well for them. That ability to cover such a wide range because it's forgiving enough, but the lofts are not so powerful that it goes a million miles. So this is one of those golf clubs, one of those rare golf clubs that's quite forgiving, but still has good loft on it, 33 degrees. We're not starting to get in that 30 degrees. Too many manufacturers make golf clubs that are forgiving on a medium-sized head like this one. It's not really oversized head, but they put lofts on it nearer to the 28 degree and it just turns off so many golfers. So this golf club, for a lot of people, don't skip this golf club. Don't sleep on it. It's a really, really good golf club. Even though it's been out for almost 18 months now, maybe a little bit beyond that, this golf club still has a lot of life in it. P790, another good golf club. People come in, they don't know if they need the 770 or the 790. Normally the higher the handicap, the more the 790, but also the more need for distance, more of the 790. Because we start to go into this, what we call modern lofts, or we've kind of taken that terminology now where 30.5 degrees is a modern loft. And I think TaylorMade are some of the pioneers of getting these really strong lofted golf clubs, but still having that ability that they've got better over the last 2 years at doing to create high backspin on a golf club. Typically, manufacturers have been making these hollow-headed golf clubs and they're low launch, low spin, and they just don't stop. They go a long way. Everybody's impressed by how far they go. They just don't hold a green. So now we've got the P790, good-looking golf club. It's possible that it can be used as a combo set. It is also forged, but it's a forged like the P770, so it's not truly forged. And again, you've got the insert in there to dampen these off-center hits as well. Very well-demanded golf club, very worthy of the demand. So P790, very, very good golf club, worth the attention that it gets also. However, it doesn't feel as good as the P770 and it doesn't feel anywhere near the MB or the MC. Why may that be? Maybe the bigger head, more of maybe a drum kind of effect to the acoustics, but it doesn't sound the same as the P770. It sounds a little bit more clicky, so people will associate that to feel. When you hit it off center, it feels fine, it goes a long way. When you hit it out the middle, it feels good, it just clicks. It's got a very distinct sound to it, and that's just the way the P790s are. In terms of distance, the P790 seems to have a flatter flight and seem to launch off the face a little bit quicker. It will be interesting to see the data. It's a very, very good club. It's a very, very good tool. That's how I see it. It's not crafted with the same kind of beauty as maybe the forged blade or the MC, but it's a tool that's going to help you play better golf and help you hit it longer and better when you don't hit it out the middle. So it is a very, very good club. This one really, to me, is the second shining star in the TaylorMade range. The P770 is going to be my star. This would be the second star in range, but they have got very good at this hollow head construction irons. I would say that they're the leaders at making clubs this way right now, and it's the P770 and the P790 that lead the way when we start looking at these hollow head construction range of irons. So P790ti or titanium. It's not forged, it's a bigger head. It's also the matte finish, but maybe you've got one of the older models as a P790 and you've just seen an on-sale set of the P790tis and you know that these were the premium. Is it worth the upgrade? So it'll be quite interesting to see how this one performs. I have had students hit this. I've not had anybody really commit to buying these. Something that seemed to let it down was a feel. So what we'll look at is how does it perform. I know it's going to be very long because it's quite strong lofted. But how does it perform? And also, how does it perform when compared to the Sim Max, which is also the same 28.5 degrees? So we're going to try two clubs side by side in a moment and see how they perform. Now, it's definitely the first time putting it behind the ball that I start to see how noticeable the offset is and how big the head looks. So it is not a pretty looking golf club behind the ball. P790 titanium. How did it perform? When you hit it well, it performs well. When I hit it off the toe, was it this great amount of technology performing these perfect shots off the toe? Not at all. It was just like any regular golf club when I hit it out of the toe. If you had a P790, any generation, you went to this, would it perform much better? No, but it'd go longer because it's 28.5 degrees and you're probably playing a 30.5 degree P790 or maybe a little bit stronger depending on the generation. But it's not performing in a way that justifies a price tag in my eyes, and definitely if you had the P790s, I wouldn't recommend, unless you've got some strong inclination to go to this golf club, to change it. Is the titanium, is the tungsten making a big difference in performance? I don't feel it is. It felt like it performed well. It felt like there were hot spots when you hit it a little bit higher off the face. It didn't perform amazing when you hit it off the toe of the heel, and it didn't feel insanely good. It felt a little bit clickier. In a way, most irons are made from carbon steel. Drivers are made from titanium. Drivers tend to have that clickier sound, and I don't know if it is just the material, the titanium it's made from, but it didn't feel any better than the P790. I would take the P790 standard in terms of feel over the P790 titanium. Why would you upgrade? The prestige, maybe. Yes, you might be getting a slightly bigger head because it's made from titanium, but does that translate to an improvement in performance? I don't think so. So now we're starting to get into the real game improvement irons from TaylorMade. We're looking at the Sim2 Max at the moment, and this is 28.5 degrees, comparable to the P790 titanium. So they're not meant to be rivals, but it'd be interesting to see how they compare to each other. Now, one thing that does concern me about this golf club is the wording they use on the internet, on the marketing side, and they say it feels like forged. Now, that's a bold claim. Even if you say feels like TaylorMade forged, that's a bold claim. So not all forged clubs are made equal. That's one thing that I'll say often in my videos. But to claim a golf club feels like forged, now that is something that's quite a big deal to me. And one thing that I feel is that people that have used these golf clubs before have commented on their feel, but not in a positive light. Again, TaylorMade using the insert in there to take some of the vibrations on the off-center hits. And I would say over the years as well that these have got a little bit better. Some of the first range irons that had these grooves on the face as well, it were known for the inserts to start to come out, and I don't hear of that as much anymore. So guys, Having a look at these irons and really looking back at TaylorMade irons, I used to find it very difficult when somebody would come with burner irons to try and find an improvement, because I get used to burner irons being very powerful, going a long way, and the burner 2.0s, that it's difficult for them to try something modern that didn't go super long in the way that their burners did. And then the M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, M6 came out, and what you'd find is the odd numbers were for the better players, the even numbers were for the higher handicaps. That's typically how it fell. How I feel is those that played the M1, M3, M5 are going to be pushed more into the P7, P790 range, and those that played the M2, the M4, the M6 are going to be pushed more into the Sim or the Stealth iron range. Now the Sim2 for me, it isn't an upgrade over the M6. If you were looking at the M6 irons, they performed pretty well. The feel was quite good on them. Although they were low launching, low spinning golf clubs, these claim to be feeling like forged. They don't. So in terms of performance, it seems okay too. It's got hot spots. You hit it on the toe, you hit it on the heel. It doesn't quite go as far. You hit it out the middle, great club. If you're having a good ball striking day, this is going to be a very good golf club for you. If you're not hitting it quite well, you're going to find these shots sometimes go super far, sometimes don't go far at all. From here on out, TaylorMade don't claim these feel like forged, because it's really fraudulent in my opinion. It doesn't feel like forged, or not a forged club that I would imagine. Last golf club of the day, the TaylorMade Max OS, the oversized one. This is 27 degrees. It's designed to go a long way. It's designed to be forgiving. It's designed to be a big head. It's going to be a really attractive golf club to those that have been online, seen the marketing from TaylorMade, and want the easiest possible golf club TaylorMade make to make their lives easier. Just a note, from a dress position, this part of the golf club, the heel on the back, is visible. So if you're not attracted to seeing the back edge of the golf club from a dress, this might not be the right club for you. Okay, Sim2 Max OS. What am I going to say about Sim2 Max OS? I take it back. When you hit it out the middle, these Sim2 irons actually feel okay. Definitely not forged feel. Maybe I'm a little bit upset by them claiming they feel forged, but when you hit them out the middle, they're a 3 out of 5. They're not that bad, but they're definitely not forged feeling golf clubs. You are being missold that. In terms of forgiveness, again, I feel like it's got a little bit of a hot spot in there. You hit it somewhere a little bit high on the face, it just flies off. So what you'll find is, if you're one of those golfers, you hit an occasional good shot and your friends say, wow, you finally found the middle. That golf club has these moments where you don't feel like you've done much different, but it just really comes off quick. It's a good club. I think for the high handicap, it's worth considering out there. It does have this little bit of overhang on the heel, so if you don't like the look of that, that's going to put you off a little bit. And the feel is not bad when you hit it out the middle. It really isn't, but it isn't forged feeling. So guys, starting to rip into this data a little bit more now. We've taken the outliers out there. We look at the P7MB, the bladed golf club, 35 degrees. That one will produce in 169 carry, pretty typical of what I'd expect from a blade club. The spin was okay, the launch angle was pretty, 17.5 degrees, around where I'd expect it to be. But what just begs the question to me is, why wouldn't you go for the Mizuno? It'd feel a little bit better and there'd be kind of no loss of forgiveness in there. So that'd just be my comparison of why use a P7MB. Maybe go for the Mizuno range. The 221 is a fantastic golf club at the moment. Then we look at the 7MC. I don't think I struck this one quite as well, but the launch angle was very similar. The backspin a little bit lower. What I'd expect is 1 degree lower loft. We didn't get it in the launch angle, but we got that reduction in backspin. It produced 1 yard more. So again, you can see how you could combo the P7MB and the P7MC. However, when we look at the P770, there's 9 yard more carry, or 10 yard more carry than the MB, 9 yard more carry than the MC. That'd be more difficult for us to combo set. When it's within around 5-6 yards, we can start to play around with the lofts and get that combo set. I think it'd be quite difficult to put the P770s in with a P7MC. So just bear that in mind. If it was something that were entering your mind, I think it's going to be very difficult to do that. Then when we look at the 770 to the 790, now we start to see 4 yard of difference. So this is where you can make the most of that combo set. That's a lot easier for us to do. Launch angle on the P790, that little bit lower, but the backspin. So when we look at the blades coming in near to 6,700 RPMs, and then we look at the P790s at 5,300, that's getting really on the low side. So this is where the P770 is quite attractive to a lot of players, is we're still getting backspin near to that 6,000 range, so we can still make the ball stop on a green pretty well. Depending on your speed, the faster you are, the more backspin you're going to get, but that number there is not something that scares me in terms of being super low. 5,200 again, for a lot of players, that's not a bad backspin number, but for the speed that I would put in behind the ball, it's a little bit on the low side. So if I start to get somebody who's a slower player who's using the P790s to get more distance, all of a sudden they might find they have trouble trying to get that ball to stop on a green when the backspin for me is 5,200. It may be 4,200 for a golfer who's not quite as quick. P790 Titanium, the ball speed came off quick. It felt like a driver coming off the face. The launch angle was super low. We expected that too. But then you start to see some of the differences in there in terms of the backspin. It was a little bit higher than the P790. So maybe the technology in the titanium version is somewhat different, where the COG is a little bit further back, creating a little bit more backspin maybe. 3 yards extra. Would it be worth going to the titanium head? I think for a lot of golfers it wouldn't be. The P790 would be the best way forward. Wouldn't look back at looking at an older set of P790 titanium. So now when we look at the P770 through to the Sim Max OS, this is where I love the data. It kind of proves me wrong sometimes. So when we look at the P770 and we compare it to the Sim2 Max, which wouldn't be a straight comparison, the ball speed was a little bit slower on the Sim2 Max for me. The launch angle was lower, however the backspin was slightly higher, and that's something I wouldn't expect. But when you start to get a big club, you can put the center of gravity back, that can create a little bit more backspin too. So maybe it is the design of the golf club that produced high backspin numbers on the Sim2 Max. But the carry was a little bit shorter on the Sim2 Max for me than it would have been on the P770. If we look at the Sim Max OS, that was very similar to what I expected. It's going to go a long way. In terms of ball speed, it will produce in ball speed similar to the P790 Titanium. In terms of launch angle, very similar to the P790 Titanium. In terms of backspin, however, a little bit less. So that P790 Titanium, quite strange that it can create them low ball flight and high backspin. So maybe the feet in engineering, as they call it, is a true claim, and they've created something that's a little bit different there. Over the years, TaylorMade have probably let themselves down in just two departments. They've been very good golf clubs, but two departments where I don't feel they excel. Number one would be feel. And TaylorMade used to make some really good golf clubs. The 300 Forge were rumored to be made by Miura. And then you even had the RAC Protos, again some really great feeling golf clubs. But over the years I feel that everybody started to close that gap with Mizuno, but TaylorMade just don't really push the boundaries in terms of feel. And a lot of their marketing is pushing towards feel, but I just don't feel them claims are justified. The second thing that normally lets TaylorMade golf clubs down is they tend to produce very low backspin numbers, and that was a real problem in the P790s. They've addressed it. They've made golf clubs that spin now. So you can get the ball to hit the green, you can get the ball to stop. Even the Sim2 irons produce this kind of low flighted high spin golf shot. So again, this is going to be a very good golf club for a lot of players, and most players that will be playing something like the Sim2 or the Sim2 Max OS are not going to be using premium golf balls, so they definitely need a golf club that can produce good backspin. If you don't have a golf club that can produce good backspin with a premium golf ball, you've no chance when you're using a two-piece golf ball on the golf course. Feel is something that they're going to keep chasing, and hopefully they close that gap. The P770s, P790s feel very, very good for a hollow head construction iron. The P7MB and the MC feel okay for what they are as forged clubs. They feel best in range, but for a forged headed club, they're still behind on Mizuno. And then when you start to look at the Sim2, the Max and the Max OS, they don't feel the greatest. They feel good when you hit them well. They've got some questionable hot spots on their face, but they produce pretty good backspin numbers, and they're forgiving when you don't hit them well. Is there a golf club for everyone? Now this is another thing that I feel TaylorMade have missed out on. If we look back at the M5, I don't feel they've truly replaced the M5 yet. The M5 was 30.5 degrees, quite a strong lofted golf club. That was good for some better players who had a high ball flight and needed something that was quite powerful. So they had the M5, which was not big, not garish. And now the only 30.5 degree club that TaylorMade make would be the P790. But the P790 tends to come off a little bit quicker and a little bit lower spin than the M5s. So those golfers that had the M5s and looking for an upgrade, you might be in a little bit of difficulty right now trying to find that replacement. I think for me there's two standout clubs which you've probably recognized in the review, but the P770, P790 really stand out. They're in a class of their own. I think TaylorMade, these hollow head construction irons, if they keep making them like the P770, P790, they're doing a great job. Compare the way that the forged P790s, P770s feel with a hollow head construction compared to the Sims. So the Sims are cast and hollow head. The P770, P790 are forged and hollow head, and they feel a lot better. So there is some credit that the Forge makes a club that does feel not that great feel pretty good. So it makes some difference, but it doesn't really feel like a true forged blade would. If you are a high handicapper looking at getting maybe your first set of golf clubs that are not hand-me-downs, and you want something that's super forgiving, I wouldn't overlook the Max OS. It is actually a golf club for those golfers that want to hit it a long way and want to just get some forgiveness under their belts. This is a very, very good club. I think comparing it to some of the other golf clubs out there, I'd pick this over the T400 for sure, in my opinion. Yes, it might be a little bit bigger of a head because it's a lighter material, but it doesn't translate to a world new performance.